A pleasant good afternoon to everyone. I hope you are all keeping safe and well in the comforts of your own homes. My name is Lexi Schultz, and I am your host for today. Our curated presentation this afternoon will outline key learnings from the Craft and Design Exchange Program and opportunities in the Taiwan market for the home, fashion, wellness, and lifestyle industries. We will be graced by speakers from the Philippines and Taiwan's design teams from the Philippines-Taiwan Craft Cultural Collaboration, as well as an esteemed official and officials from the Philippine Trade and Investment Center Taipei and the National Taiwan Craft Research and Development Institute, or NTCRI. This economic cooperation for cultural and crafts exchange envisions to complement the value chain of both countries in the areas of tourism-driven and tourism support products, particularly gifts, houseware, and decor. Leading this agreement are the NTCRI and the Center for International Trade Expositions and Missions, or CITEM. To talk more about this collaboration and to formally welcome us this afternoon, I would like to call on the Executive Director of CITEM, ED Pauline Suaco, Juan.
To Trade Representative Michael Alfred Ignacio from PTIC-Taipei and the Manila Economic and Cultural Office, Acting Director Lin and Representative Dr. Liao Jeng-Kuan from the National Taiwan Craft Research and Development Institute, Creative Director Stanley, Ruiz, all our participating companies and designers, and to everyone here in this session, a pleasant afternoon to you all. Thank you for joining us in this roundtable discussion of the Taiwan-Philippines Craft Cultural Cooperation in support of Manila Fame and the Taiwan Craft Show. Before we proceed to the panel discussion, allow me to give you a short background on the program and the countries behind it. The Taiwan-Philippines Craft Cultural Cooperation is a special collaboration between Taiwan and the Philippines as part of their continuing trade relations that go back hundreds of years. This partnership program allows for the transmission and intermingling of both the tangible and intangible cultural heritage from both countries. Specifically, this exchange helps foster the trade and cultural relations between the Philippines and Taiwan through their respective arts, designers, and manufacturers. It was exciting to see how young designers from Taiwan would interact with our local manufacturers and artisans, just the same way as our Philippine designers would interact and work with the manufacturers and the master craftsmen from Taiwan. Even with the pandemic interrupting activities and economies the world over, we did not allow this to stop us from moving forward with this design collaboration. So looking at the results, I'm glad to say that there was a lot of synergy among all the participants, and we are proud that this exercise has yielded products that we are very much looking forward to introducing and showcasing to the market. With today's roundtable discussion, we hope to provide valuable insights on the key learnings from this collaboration, as well as the differences and similarities between the two sets of cultures and design sensibilities. Indeed, tracing the lines of the long-standing relationship between Taiwan and the Philippines strengthens our present efforts and helps us chart a well-designed future for our trading sectors. On that note, I would now like to turn over the floor to our next speaker. I hope everyone can have an interesting and engaging session this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that opening, ED Pauline. I love how you've highlighted the collaboration between Taiwan and the Philippines that's gone back years and years, and how something as big as the pandemic that has really hit the world over has not stopped something this beautiful from happening. So thank you very much for that. And now, as we go along with the program, we are joined by the following designers from Taiwan. First up, we have Helen Chen.
Hi, everyone.
We also have with us Ron Lin.
Hello, everyone.
With us as well is Kai-Ping Yu.
Hi, everyone.
Also with us is Shuling Chang. And finally, Chan Han Lin.
Hello, everyone.
I love how everyone has wonderful smiling faces. And of course, I'd like to introduce our very own designers from the Philippines as well. Miguel Rosales of Caramel Incorporated.
Hi, everyone.
We also have Tisha de Borja-Samson of E.Murio. We also have Rachelle Dagñalan of RADA Collab.
Hi, everyone.
And finally, we have Stanley Ruiz, the co-creative director of this project. So now we're going to head on over to part 1, Designing for Other Cultures, Key Learnings from the Craft and Design Exchange Program. I would like to address the first question to Dr. Liao, if that's okay. Would you like to tell us what exactly this project is about and how it started? Dr. Liao, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Messi. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Liao from NTCRI. Thank you all, and I'm very happy to participate in this roundtable meeting. First of all, I want to thank ED Pauline for leading her excellent team and collaborating with us. Innovation makes me happy, and every designer and craftsman also touch me. At 2008, our institute started a project named Craft of Fashion. It was a collaboration between designer and the craft people. The results turned very well and later became the famous E-project in the international market. We learned two results of the experience. The first one is that we need to give a lot of appreciation to the craft people to provide the best quality and skill. Secondly, we need to thank to the designers to bring new concept of aesthetic into the old craft. No matter the designer from the international or the national region. Home decor and fashion design are strengths paths in Philippines. And we can share our Taiwanese techniques and experience in craft design. Also, Taiwan become more and more diversity of racial and cultural nation. The new market can be created because of the fusion of different culture. It's a good opportunity that we have the chance to explore future development of both of our craft industry. And I hope from the execution process, we learn a lot from Philippine side, including how to promote our fashion industry and how to push the local industry to become more and more elaborated. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Dr. Liao. Now I have a question for Edie Pauline. How was the experience putting this project together? What have been the challenges and what have been the highs as well?
Thank you for that question, Lexi. As you know, the whole experience has been exciting and challenging. The NTCRI is a research and development agency under the Cultural Ministry of Taiwan. CITEM, on the other hand, is an export promotion arm of the Philippine Trade Department tasked to promote products to the international market. So with the differences in mandate, it was, we had to reconcile it and align it. And while there are gaps, we were able to find connections between our agencies and work with them to explore the possibilities of our natural fibers and other raw materials. And so while they work with us to promote these products to the Taiwan market, as well as to the international market who goes to Taiwan to buy crafts. So other challenges we encountered were more on the logistical side, such as finding the right time for the designers to do their immersion visit and organizing tours and meetings with the manufacturers. I mean, I remember the first time we did this, it was in the middle of the Manila Fame. the physical show. So gosh, that seemed like such a long time ago. And then so we welcomed the Taiwan designers here, and then the Philippine delegation to Taipei. So obviously, when the pandemic set in and lockdowns were enforced, this became even more difficult. So towards the end of the product development, the designers had no choice but to do things virtually, and probably the biggest setback of this is that the chance to touch, feel, and see the actual prototypes were not available. So that probably is one of the biggest challenges. So the other would have to be how to promote them. Also, since the trade shows that we planned in 2020 were canceled due to the global travel restrictions. So now we wait for 2021 to actually go full scale in terms of promotion. And so we see how the pandemic would play out this year. So we're hopefully we can get some great stories going on and begin promoting this wonderful collaboration between our designers and manufacturers. Thanks, Lexi.
Thank you so much for that answer, Edie Pauline. I'm sure there's so much to look forward to still. So maybe now let's go talk to some of the designers who were part of this wonderful project. How was the experience working with manufacturers from a different culture? Maybe let's start with Ron Lin. What is your answer to that question?
Hello, everybody, and I'm Ron. And about the experience of working with different cultural manufacturers, frankly, I think it was a very great time to work with them, and with the assistance from CITEM, it's a great time. And besides the different craft and the style of the beauty, and I think there are two key differences to work with different cultural people. And the first one is the skills they're good at. Because we are doing the pet-friendly furniture or other home decor products. So in Philippines, we are still looking for a wood, veneer, or weaving factory to work with. But if we in Taiwan, this kind of factory mostly use machine, a lot of machine. So it brings out some problems. The problem is that we need a huge quantity. So if we don't have the quantity, the factory mostly they don't want to do sample, or it will be cost us a lot of money. But in Philippines, they have both. So they can handmade our sample with a reasonable price. But if we have large quantity, they still can do this. And the second difference, I think, is the distance between factories. In Taiwan, our factory is always tend to group together in some town or area, but in Philippines, the distance between factory is very far from far than us. So I think there's one time we go to one factory in Philippines and we want to visit another one. But we take the car and it costs us about 4 hours. But 4 hours maybe let us travel from the top of Taiwan to the bottom. So I think the cost of time is very expensive. So just like we need to prepare more and we have more things to discuss. And when we after the meeting, we need to connect each other frankly, and make sure everything is fine. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much for that, Ron. Let's speak now with Miguel Rosales with the same question. How was your experience working with the manufacturers from a different culture? Do you feel that it was the exact opposite of what Ron was talking about?
I have to agree with him on probably the distances between factories. But first of all, I wanna greet everybody and say thank you so much for our amazing hosts in Taiwan and for CITEM and giving us this amazing opportunity and experience. But I think it was the main difference for me was how they had a sort of concerted effort they have this whole town for the crafts people, or the crafts council, where they have their archives and all sorts of things where we could, study and look at things, and learn from things. They had an exhibition hall where we could experience the actual products as well. So I thought that was really, really interesting that they had this whole town where we stayed, where everything was really concentrated in that area. So I think that's the main difference that I noticed. But otherwise, I think it was an amazing experience.
Thank you very much for those answers, guys. Now, I have a question for Shuling Chang. How was the experience working with designers from different backgrounds?
Yeah, hi, I'm everyone. I'm come from the Taiwan pottery. Can I speak in Chinese? It will be better. Okay.
Hi, I'm Zhang Xiaoling from Taiwan. I'm very happy to participate in this project. And first of all, I would like to say Taiwan has a very strong and good ceramic culture. And actually, we can offer a lot of different possibilities in terms of forms and colors. And if talking about regret in this time, the only one I might have is we don't have enough time to really explore many new opportunities of new technologies that we maybe offer to designers for more people to explore and to create new ideas and products. So we hope for more opportunities to collaborate in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that answer. Now, I'd like to ask a question addressed to Dr. Liao and Kaiping Liu. We've noticed that there is a particular interest in abaca and other local Philippine fibers among the designers. Can you explain why and what potential you see with these particular fibers? Maybe we can start with Dr. Liao.
Yes. And nowadays we are trying to find local material because the global industry is need to be considered for local people. You need to find your strength part to make your better products and to make profit from your country and for yourself. And that's why we focus on many natural material, including in our country, also in Philippines. And we like the designer to try new material in Philippines, so they can use the advantage of the Philippines to create a small business industry or for themselves. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Kaiping. Our studio is Essence Design Craft, and before we know the abaca material, we are very good at the natural material to do design like bamboo, rattan, and even we also try to use the Taiwan banana fiber, but it's totally different between Taiwan banana fiber and abaca, and we also use the shell drinker, so we are good and use some fiber material. And after in the 2019, our first proposal is between is a partition, is a screen series. So and very thanks CITEM plan the tour, the visiting to the brands, the Philippine factories, and after we realize the local material, local factory, how to work, and we choose the abaca because we do some research about the abaca. There is a very interesting picture in the 1914 years, the National Geography magazine. You can see the magazine, and they show there is a 3,000 pounds the abaca tow rope is very big, so you can know the abaca is a symbol for Philippine history in these 100 years or even more. So, So so we know the abaca is this material is from the industrial to now. To now is for the life and for the decoration, even for the fashion design, like bag or hats. And even we also know the abaca is Filipino craftsmen have the very good skill for weaving and macrame, and very good handling this material. So we just think we believe abaca is it has the potential for the abroad market. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those answers. Now I'd like to address a question to Chen Lin. Taiwan is known for its bamboo craft. We'd like to understand the different characteristics of the variety of bamboo species and how you're able to manipulate such into intricate designs, because you know bamboo seems so harsh, but you end up coming up with such beautiful designs with bamboo.
My name is Lin and I'm running a company for the multiple bamboo technologies. In this year's project, we are using different varieties of bamboos for different products. And traditionally, we have Moso bamboo and the Makino bamboos in Taiwan. And Moso bamboo is thicker, so therefore it's suitable for structural and sticker products. The Makino bamboo could be used to produce a thinner or woven product. And therefore, a careful choice of different varieties for your final design is very important. And for example, in the case of bamboo books, actually we try to combine different parts of Moso bamboo and to form the final product. So you get to see the different nature and the different texture of the bamboo. And by combining layers, actually it creates a different texture of the final product. But on the other case, which is called bamboo vessels, you can see that we use a very thin, large surface of bamboo to form a lampshade. And this is another nature of the bamboo that we can work with. So it's very important to know your material for your design. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Now we move on to the next question, which I will address to Helen, to Rachelle, and to Shu as well. What new thing, whether it be a process, a material, a work ethic, did you learn from the other culture that you can apply to your own company? Maybe we can start with Helen.
Hi there. I would like to add that I'm very thankful for this experience, as it has taught me, I guess if I was to sum it up in a word, elasticity. When we first designed our planters, we actually had one material in mind, and a material that we're kind of familiar with. But after a tour that CITEM had hosted, in which we were able to go around to the different makers to see the materials and visit the craftsmen, we actually changed our design as we had it was an eye-opening experience, and we were able to see crafts and material that we'd never seen before. So that was a great learning experience from us, and something that I will apply to future projects from my side. And on the second point, I'd like to add, and last point, is that I was very surprised at the charm of the natural materials and the charm the craftsmen were able to add to the materials. And it's made me more aware of what the hands can bring to a design that a computer may not be able to. So thank you very much for this experience.
Thank you for that answer. Now we'd like to move on to Rachelle.
All right, there. Hello. So one thing I've observed the similarity between Taiwanese manufacturers and the Philippines is that we both have a good mix of the old and the new techniques and the traditions, which are evident in the products that are being produced by the manufacturers. But the advantage of Taiwan is that they are far more advanced when it comes to tech. As Ron mentioned earlier, they have lots of machines. So when we got to the companies, we're surprised that there are only very few people and more of machines. Whereas in the Philippines, when you go to the factories and in the communities, you would see a lot of people. So many of our manufacturing is still done by hand. And I appreciate that in Taiwan, we get to communicate directly with the craftsmen. So it's very important as a designers that we're able to translate our ideas and visions directly to the maker themselves. So probably in my case, how would I be able to adapt that in our future projects is that I'd like to immerse myself more with the craftsmen in the Philippines so that I may be able to understand from a craftsman's point of view how can we develop more the products rather than we have the idea and then forcing upon them what we want to do. So it's a very good experience where the exchange is there, that the craftsman is able to tell us also what they want to achieve with their material and how else can we help them upgrade or add value to the material that we have here. There.
Thank you very much for that, Rachel. And now we'd like to hear from Shuling, please, with the same question. What new material, process, work ethic did you learn from the other culture that you can apply to your company?
Yes, this time my partner is an interior designer, and actually he shared a lot about Filipino cultures with us. And actually at the end, they often turn into our collaborative themes. So for example, earthquake has been common to both of our countries in Taiwan and in the Philippines, and that forms a kind of connection between us, and then we try to aid that into craft. And this is a very important point I want to address, because in the past we usually focus on functionality of the craft, but in the future I want to put more focus on the common feelings and common emotions into the craft development. This is something I want to share. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Now I would like to ask another question addressed to Tisha de Borja-Samson, Helen Chen, and Chan Han Lin. What have been the challenges in developing new products under this design exchange? Maybe we can start with you, Tisha.
Hi.
Tisha, if you can go ahead.
Yes. Well, obviously it was the pandemic, which so we ended up having to do a long distance kind of production, which I think which removes the tangibility of the object. You don't get to really work with people hand in hand. So everything is done, digitally, and I think, like Rachel mentioned earlier, we don't really get to discuss with the maker. And I think that was the biggest obstacle.
Thank you, Tisha. Now I'd like to hear from Helen.
From this experience, I've become greatly aware of the importance of face-to-face contact and the sense of touch, especially working with natural materials. It's very important not only to physically see, but also touch what the materials feels like, especially as a designer. It's something that a computer screen can never replace. So that was something that was very important. And what I've found to be challenging was because we were working with natural materials, the availability of materials. So it was very much affected by seasons and also natural disasters, which was very unforeseen from my perspective and experience. So yeah, there was the main two takeaways and challenges of this program.
Thank you for that. Now we go to Chan Han Lin. What have been the challenges in developing new products under this particular design exchange?
Yes, in this trip, the designer came to my factory. He saw many different forms of products we made before. And so this time he tried to combine, he chose and tried to combine some forms, some previously developed forms into a new developed product. So for example, he added hand holdings to the trays and actually kind of bringing the new shining spot to the old product. And also the way he used the thin layers actually is quite a challenge for us, because previously we need a computer assisted cutting program to make a proper form of this kind of thin layer. But right now, because we cannot do that, so we hand cut the thin layer, and it's not as perfectly as cut by the computer assisted machines. And also remember that I talked about the bamboo box that we developed, and for the bamboo box, the body was fixed, so which is not subject to climate change. However, for the cover, because the cover is a combination of veneer and bamboo skin, and so when we made a sample that day, the weather was very good. So the shape, the surface looked very nice. After 1 week, because the moisture and the high temperature and the cover started to curl up. So this is the kind of thing that we need to explore, and we need to learn about this kind of material, bamboo, before we start working with it. And that's the challenges we are facing in this project.
Thank you very much for all of those answers. We're done now with part one. We're going to move on over to part two, new southbound policy, opportunities in the Taiwan market for home, fashion, and wellness lifestyle. First, we're going to ask a few questions addressed to Trade Rep Mike Ignacio. Good afternoon, sir. First question is, how important is the Taiwan and Philippine trade and economic cooperation? This is my first question to you, sir.
Taiwan and the Philippines economic cooperation is very, very strategic in terms of our play and role in the region. Despite Taiwan's relatively smaller size, they are a population of only 24 million. They are ranked as our 9th major trading partner. They are our 10th largest export market, and we are the 8th. And they are our 8th largest import source. So it is very, very strategic and important for us. Also, Taiwan has engaged into this very aggressive new southbound policy, which engages about 16 economies in the region, including Southeast Asia, South Asia, Australia, and New Zealand, among others. And because this is a strategy to scale up their economy even more. So that is why, and the Philippines, being the closest neighbor to Taiwan, we have been positioning the Philippines as the gateway of Taiwan to their new southbound target economies. Lexi?
Yes, thank you very much for that. Actually, I'd like to, before I go to the next question again that I had for you, I'd like to talk to Sir Stanley Ruiz and to David Liao in terms of the approach to the curation of this exhibit. Stanley, maybe we can start with you.
Okay. Hi. Well, my approach was more of an arts and crafts perspective rather than anthropological or linguistic. because first, that's not my field of expertise, and there have been studies in that field anyways. I was more interested in the making of objects, like what are the whys and the hows, like what's their choice of materials, like, and what are their processes. I'm more interested in those. Tracing lines is about the search for parallels, basically, between the crafts in both countries. So an underlying theme is the idea of objects as carriers of information. So when I visited Taiwan, Miss Shuling actually shared the story that back in the day, the poets, they would write poetry on porcelain vessels because they know they can pass it on to the future. That would outlive them, like so they can perpetuate this cultural artifact. They can preserve their heritage and culture. So I thought of based on that, anchoring on that idea, I thought of searching for a parallel practice in the Philippines, and I found one in the form of ambahan poetry by the Hanuno Mangyans in Mindoro, where they carve bamboo poetry in bamboo. So what I'm trying to say here is basically the objects that the designers have developed in this collaboration. The designers and the artisans, the designers and the manufacturers have developed. Those objects carry the ideas of the designer as well as the skills and the techniques of the artisans. So those are codified into the objects and passed on to future generations. So that's basically my idea for this the curatorial approach to this whole project. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts, Stanley. Now I'd like to hear from David Liao. What was your approach to the curation of this exhibit?
Hello, everybody.
Hi, I'm David Liao, and I'm not curator of this exhibition, but I would like to say something about my observation of the many products of this collaboration. I saw them, many of them are wonderful collaborations with full potentials. And I would like to say that the Creative Expo Taiwan is definitely a very good trade show and very good platform to bring out the outcome of this collaboration between Philippines and Taiwan. And actually, my own company has attended this expo many times. Therefore, we definitely believe it is a very good platform to bring out the collaboration between two countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I'd like to go back now to Trade Rep Mike Ignacio, talking about the importance of the Philippine-Taiwan trade and economic cooperation. Can you discuss or expound on the opportunities in the Taiwan market, as I'm sure there is so much to explore?
Okay, Lexi. To tell you frankly, the bread and butter of our trade relations between Taiwan and the Philippines is really, and the bulk of it is really in electronics and semiconductors. If you take a look at our statistics, our exports to Taiwan, Taiwan's exports to the Philippines, and the FDI from Taiwan to the Philippines are mostly in electronics and manufacturing. That said, I think our strategy is, and I share this with Executive Director Pauline Juan, our strategy is to diversify our product offerings, given what we know, what we are capable of, our talents, and so as not to put all our eggs in one basket. So creativity, design, artisanship, they're all a wonderful and excellent formula to tap into this very, very rich very sophisticated markets such as Taiwan. You know, we have been talking a lot about how design and creation is done in the previous sector, but I just like to connect that without business, it would be very difficult to sustain what we are trying to do. So it is also important to find a market for the products that we churn out here. And one of the strategies that we need to do, and usually this is done, is co-branding. You know, so some lesser brands display higher or more upscale brands with them in the stores, so that they can also bring up the image and profile of their brand. You know what I mean? And so here in Taiwan, if we want to bring in our products of high artisanship and design, it is very important that we have to find very good partners, representatives, importers, and distributors who can represent the brand well and invest as well in marketing and promoting these products. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I still have another question for you. Because aside from, we were talking about semiconductors and all of this, but food is another industry that I'm sure is, you know, everyone is willing to try our wonderful products that we have. Apart from food, what other opportunity for lifestyle products is in the offing for the Taiwan market? Future, post-pandemic wise, because right now you were saying that it's really more of the technological aspects. That's sort of the relationship. But now moving forward, apart from food, are we going to see a lot of the lifestyle? Because a lot of these designers are also fascinated by things like abaca and things that only really come out of the Philippines.
Yes, Lexi. I've been working closely with Executive Director Pauline and CITEM here, and as background, we've been representing the Philippines, Food Philippines specifically, in such a big way at the Taipei Food Show for almost 20 years before the pandemic started. So what we did was innovated the way we promoted our food by just partnering with the big supermarket chains like Carrefour and Artimart and joining boutique shows here. But aside from food, the Taiwanese are very discerning. They're very sophisticated. And I think as a success story for the Philippines, our home, furniture, and lifestyle products that have done well in the West will also do very well here. Whatever products that have from the Philippines with high artisanship that have done well in the West and East Asia, like South Korea and Japan, Taiwan is similar to East Asia and Japan. They look toward the West, but they also embrace their East Asian identity. So I do not want to go into specifics, but home, lifestyle, wellness, trends, global trends would be a very good fit. But then again, we need to do, our producers, our manufacturers would need to do a lot of product development, market research, and R&D, and packaging is key. So,
thank you very much for that. Now I'd like to address a question to Dr. Liao. Is there a segment or niche that the Philippines can possibly tap into in the Taiwan market? And what does the Philippines need to do in order to tap into this? Dr. Liao?
Yes, the market is very upgrade for Taiwan people now. I think people want to pursue the high quality and right atmosphere furniture or deco to have a more better lifestyle in here. And but the difficulty is what can we do? What can we really find out the key point for the products? Like Michael said, we need to do some research or study and use the right design for the right material and the right product in the future. I think there's many opportunity in the future, I think. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Dr. Liao. Next up, I'd like to talk to Edie Pauline. What other future sectors can we work on or collaborate on in the future? I mean, we've talked about food, of course, we're talking about the lifestyle, home. It's such a broad market as well. So what other things are we eyeing?
Well, straight up, Lexi, I can say fashion and beauty and wellness, particularly where with sustainable products, because I believe Taiwan is really one of the leaders in terms of sustainability. So to be able to develop fashion lines or beauty and wellness collections that take in mind sustainability is one place where we can learn much from Taiwan. Another thing is in terms and to do this, we were hoping that perhaps in the future there could be a program similar to what we have now, which we call PHX Tokyo, which we do with a fashion incubator in Tokyo. And so that particular incubator mentors 10 Philippine brands. So this is something that we are really open to working with Taiwan with, if they have incubator programs for fashion, beauty, and wellness, particularly with the sustainable slant. And then another thing is R&D for raw materials and natural fibers for fashion. Again, going into that sustainability slant. And but moving back to the home and the furniture and home accessories sector, one thing that I find really interesting with Taiwan, because Taiwan is actually one of my favorite travel destinations. I've been going for the last 15 years. I think I go once or twice a year, except last year, of course, because of the pandemic. But in the 15 years that I've been going to Taiwan, how the tourism industry has scaled up is actually quite impressive. So the number of boutique hotels that actually came up in Taiwan and is impressive. The design and that these boutique hotels all espouse the best of Taiwanese design. That, from a business perspective, is something the Philippines can learn. How to benefit your own furniture industry from the scaling up of the tourism industry. So that one, we're all ears also in terms of tips on how to scale up our furniture and home fashion, home accessories businesses. Thanks, Lex.
Thank you for that, Edie Pauline. I'd like to also hear from Mr. David Liao. I think he has a few words to say also about what collaborations we can see in the future. Sir David, go ahead.
I'm at Manila. My old company have visited Manila Fair in Philippines many times. I need my company also exported many Philippine craft products and decorate products from the Cebu and many items. I think the Philippine craft products and the decorative products are popular in Taiwan, especially some design style items. But now influence the cheaper product from the China has been reduced a lot. Now the product, the market will be shut down. So there are many, many high-end buildings in Taiwan. They actually need many design, style, craft, and art. At this point, things made in Philippines are also very successful, the Taiwan market. Another idea is that the Taiwanese designer or decoration in company can cooperate with the Philippine company or industry to develop products shoot for Taiwan. It's my opinion. Sorry, I am very nervous. Yeah, this is the time to, you know.
Well, David,
Okay.
you may feel like you're nervous, but I think it's more of excitement because I see the pleasure in your face, and I'm sure you had a very good experience when you came to Manila.
Yes, yes. Manila feel is very very nice. I have the very good experience in Manila. Yeah.
Well, now you made Pauline smile very big. That's really good. Okay, so my next question is targeted at, let's hear from Mike Ignacio first. Moving forward, how do we envision this whole project in the future? I mean, we heard fashion, lifestyle, food, tourism. David also mentioned art. So where do you see it moving forward?
Well, Lexi, the most important thing is to start where we have. We'll start this in a big way, and really sustain doing it and doing it. Visibility is key. We really have to be here in this market. The Taiwanese is very up to date. They have seasons for fashion and design, and they buy what is in fashion at the moment, or they even fashion forward. So I would like us to be visible here in several events that are really, really key, and what the consuming public really look up to when they look at products, and the buyers as well. So hopefully we can sustain this beyond the next administration as well, because it is one thing to start in a very big way, but sustaining it and regularly being present is also very important, so you don't disappear from the scene.
And I'd also like to hear from Dr. Yao, same question, moving forward, how do you envision the project in the future?
I think both sides show the open mind till now. So looking into the future, I think the open mind is still very important. Also, pursuing the technique and the knowledge and feeling or emotion and culture are all very important. So it's kind of long-term project, I think. Also, like ET Pauline say, we can cooperate to explore the outside market, including Japan or European or American, together with the co-brand strategy. So let's keep our mind open and do the good things together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yao. And now I'd like to go, wow, Mike, you're very popular today. You'd have to answer another question for me if that's okay. The Creative Expo Taiwan is an exciting event to participate in. And the products from this project will be showcased in CET, which will be held on April 21st to 25th. That's not so long from now. Aside from CET, what are the other shows that CITEM can look into? Or are there other venues where we can bring in more creative talent into the mainstream Taiwan market?
Okay, Lexi, thank you. And well, aside from sustaining and continuing our presence at the Taipei Food Show, because food remains to be a very big segment and CITEM plays a big role in it, I am aspiring for us to be present in the following shows that I've looked up. One is the Taipei International Furniture Show, specifically to target the Taiwanese market. The second would be probably the Giftionary and Culture Creative Taipei. For wellness, I recommend joining Bio Asia Taiwan on a national scale. We've been joining at our level here, we've been bringing delegations, but a cooperation with our colleagues from CITEM and our top players in this sector would be key. Also Taiwan Horeca, and because packaging is also key. You know, I always say this when I give talks to business people. They package their Gucci as Gucci. You know, the food products, the dumplings, the sweet dumplings, they literally package them like Gucci, and you would be blown away. So value adding in terms of packaging alone is very important. So Taipei Pack is another event that I would like us to be present in. Thank you, Lexi.
Thank you very much for that. Now, I'd like to hear finally from the designers from the Philippines, if you don't mind, what the key takeaway is from this wonderful project, the learnings that you've had, the friendships that you've made. Maybe we can start with Miguel, if that's okay.
Hi. I took away so much from this project. Definitely, I think what I learned from Taiwan is how they value their craftsmen and traditional crafts and other artisans, how they value them, and even the sort of like the tangible things that they produce. They archive them so well, and we can really revisit and study them. I think I learned that they really put them on a pedestal and really value them. I also learned how to sort of mix a lot of tradition with contemporary techniques, how you can blend them together to produce something fresh and still show the hand. I learned also how they do a lot of their things with so much dedication and passion in terms of like down to the weaving of things, down to the hammering of things. Copper vessels that were hammered with so much care. I just thought that I learned so much from them in terms of the love and passion for their crafts.
Thank you for that, Miguel. Now let's head on over to Rachelle. What were the key learnings that you took away from this experience?
All right, so highlighting what Mr. Ignacio has mentioned about packaging. I remember the first time I went to Taiwan was in 2018 to attend the Giftionary Fair, because I really was interested in the way Taiwan presents their products. They are very well packaged, not only in food, but also the small objects and stuff designers make. So I was keen to observing how they are presented, not only in shows but also in stores. And I appreciate that Taiwan has lots of room for young designers to showcase their products and their creations. And I think that is one important thing that Philippines should look into, like how can we support our local designers to have a permanent, not really permanent, but a concrete platform where we can find local design, not only every Manila Fame or every particular show, but a place where we can, creative hub where we can find and collaborate with the other designers as well.
Thank you, Rachelle. And finally, Stanley, maybe we can hear from you as well about your key takeaway from the whole experience.
For me, the experience basically of me learning from them or us learning from them and vice versa. It's really just even the exploration of the products that they have, just touring the different production houses or manufacturing facilities, visiting the artisans. That's really, for me, it's really, it's a joy to just to be there and hear from them and share stories and hear their stories and basically observe what they have and even just going out and eating, like the nice food, the good food, the lunch and dinner, So it's just I think the exchange itself is the takeaway for me. Yeah. So it's an enjoyable experience. Yeah.
Thank you, Stanley. And, Yep. Thank you very much, Stanley. And with that, we'd like to thank all of our presenters. So many valuable insights that we we took away. And I love that, all of you are smiling, which means that this experience was pleasant for everybody, and everyone has taken away a lot of key learnings, and, that we all learn from each other. Now, for those tuning in, we hope that the insights from this afternoon's presentation will help you devise creative solutions and strategies for empowering community-based craft culture, developing high-quality crafts, and innovating more materials and technology for better craftsmanship. To formally close our program, I would like to call on the Director of PTIC-Taipei, Michael Alfred V. Ignacio.
On behalf of the Philippine Department of Trade and Industry and the Manila Economic and Cultural Office, we would like to thank our officials, designers, artisans, and experts from both sides for making this roundtable discussion between the Philippines and Taiwan a big success. I would like to personally thank Executive Director Pauline Juan and her entire amazing team at CITEM, Dr. Jeng-Kuan Liao, Chief of Techniques and Project Lead at NTCRI, and your brilliant team. Thank you very much. This has indeed been a very exciting afternoon and exchange of ideas, and a much needed jumpstart in opening new market opportunities for both the Philippines and Taiwan, as well as artistic collaboration between the two sides, leveraging on each of our own talents, expertise, design aesthetic, and formidable markets. We definitely know that this is the start of something big, particularly for our creative, crafts, and design industries, and we hope that this will continue to be top of mind for both sides in our bilateral engagements, particularly post-pandemic. I hope to see everyone come together and continue this great work. Thank you very much. Xie nimen. Maraming salamat.
And there you have it, guys. Thank you very much for your participation. This afternoon has been an informative and insightful session, and we look forward to more avenues for learning from Fame Plus. On that note, we have so many more events, exhibitors, and exciting surprises in store for you. Please make sure to visit the Fame Plus website and all of the social media accounts to stay in the loop with all things Fame Plus. Thank you to everyone again who joined this afternoon. This has been your host, Lexi Schultz. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody.